How is everybody today? Pete here at Spawn Fly Fish. Got another fun bug for you. This one stems from something a little different than normal. 18 months, maybe 2 years ago, we had a guest tyer here at Spawn, Mike Heimbuch, and he tied a sick Prince Nymph. And this thing puts in work on the sea run cutthroats. I was very impressed by how many fish it catches. Every trip we're out, it catches fish. And so for the last, again, year and a half, almost 2 years, I've been obsessing a little bit over this fly and trying to come up with something that might compete. And I found it and it puts in work. So today we're going to tie a very different Prince Nymph than you're used to seeing. It's going to involve some Shaggy Dub and some soft Hackle in the front. All that, very different look than the typical Prince Nymph that you're used to seeing. But again, this thing puts fish in the basket all like nobody's business. And of course, we're going to call it the Scar Tissue Prince because Mike, a lot of you might not know this, Mike's not a big fan of, let's say, the Red Hot Chili Peppers or their songs. So of course, I'm going to dedicate this one to you, Mike, and let's get ready to tie the Scar Tissue Prince. In the vise today, we do have a more traditional looking hook. We're not tying a jig style today. This is the FW561, which is the traditional nymph barbless hook from Ahrex. And this happens to be a size 8. For the bead, I've got a Cyclops bead, which is very basic, very simple, 5/32 gold. And then I've got 6 wraps of 0.020 lead-free wire just to hold that bead into place. Let me get some thread going here. And yes, today I'm using red 6/0. 140, of course, would be just fine. And by all means, you could use black thread, whatever you want. But for those of you that know the Prince Nymph, there's a variation that uses the red thread as the collar. And the Prince Nymph on its own catches so many fish. What an iconic, amazing, amazing pattern. But when you tie it with red thread and you give it this little different look at right behind the bead, it causes a hot spot sort of reaction. And especially if you're fishing pressured areas like tailwater systems and all that, sometimes having that red neck is all the difference it takes for you to catch fish like crazy. All right. For the tail, we're using some Shaggy Dub. We're not using biots here. So again, this is going to be different than the normal Prince Nymphs that you're used to seeing, of course. But it wouldn't be a spawn fly if we just tied it like normal. This is medium brown. Then I'm going to just veil over my thread. And then I'll bring it all up to the hook shank at once and simply tie it down. By all means, you could tie it in and veil it over itself. That would work fine too. It's just the simplest way. I like to tie in a bunch of goofy, unruly material, which Shaggy Dub sure can be sometimes. Nothing to it. If you really want to get picky, by all means, get your scissor involved. Trim off some of those longer, unruly legs or, shaggy fibers, if you will. I'll leave that up to you. Keeping this pretty simple today. We've got some uni soft wire. This is the yellow or neon yellow in size medium. And this is what I've been using as my gold replacement. And it is fantastic. Very, very bright. It definitely shows up underwater, which of course is what you want. Otherwise, we would just use mono for our ribs. But something to keep in mind. Definitely a fan. Now we're just going to kind of come all the way back up here. I don't need to be directly behind the bead, but we're going to just do a dubbed body. And for the dubbed body today, I've got some Spawn Unreal Dub in Peacock. This stuff is amazing, and the fish love it. I know a lot of you out there have been using it, finding success. Just like all of our Spawn dubs, you can't go wrong. They all catch fish like crazy. We're a little proud of that. Like to have products that take you out on the river and offer you a chance to be better than you were the day before. And as far as why we tie our own flies, I guess it kind of falls into that same category. If you're just fishing the same old cookie cutter stuff over and over, there's, of course, you can get better. You know, you can always cast better. You can get better at stalking fish. All of that stuff matters. But at a certain point, like if you really want to up your game, know what you're throwing. And the only way to truly know, unless you know the person that's tying flies for you, man, just sit down and tie your own bugs. It's okay. Let's wrap this stuff all the way back. I'm just doing touching wraps here. Nothing crazy, no overlaps. I do want to make one wrap right behind the wire. And so not only does it cover up our wire, it's also going to make a foolproof way of ensuring that the wire can't slip on you. So it can't go forward, it can't go backward. That wire's just locked into place. And when we begin our wraps for our actual rib, you know, you won't have to wonder where that starts. It's going to start in the same spot every time if you use that technique. Consistency matters, especially if you're cranking out a couple dozen flies, be it for yourself, for your friends. Maybe you have an order. You know, all that stuff comes into play. All right. I want to get enough dubbing on here. I don't need to get right up to the bead. I do want a little space there to work in. However, I don't want a wimpy body either. So I'm just going to take my time and make sure I've got enough material in here. And that's pretty chunky here, pretty beefy. I'm a fan. For the rib, you could counter wrap, but it's a double dubbed body, meaning we take a pass back and forward. That stuff's not going anywhere. We'll just get the rib in here for a little strength and a little highlight. Give those fish another bit of flash that they can really see. Cut out that wire. Nothing to it. Using my thumbnail there to pinch that back. And now, so again, the typical Prince Nymph here would have a white biot wing, you know, one off to each side. And again, not tying the typical here, tying the Scar Tissue Prince. And so for that, guess what? A little more Shaggy Dub, this time in white. And I'm just going to get this coming right off the center here. And again, just veil it over the thread. Nothing crazy. This is a very simple fly to tie, very quick one. You should be able to get a couple dozen knocked out in the evening if you're really concentrating on it. So at this point you can see we're using that white as an indicator of this is where the wings would be. This whole thing is much more explosive looking than your typical very tight, very neat and tidy Prince Nymph. And for some of you, that might not be a good thing, but for me, I can tell you this, I'm a fan of any bug that looks like it's exploding. I've had a lot of success with it, and I think one, it's just something different, and two, it reminds fish of a pupation phase of a bug and all that. And so they know, hey, this one's a little easier to get to. Whatever it might be, it works. I don't need to question it too much. One last thing we're going to add in here, and this will be our soft hackle part. So this is a hen saddle, American hen saddle from Whiting. It's a unique variant, and I have stripped off the leading edge and then cut in a tie-in point just to make things a little easier on myself. And so you do you at home. If you want to use that full feather, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that. I like the little bit of sparseness I can create by peeling that front edge. It really lets me be in control. If I think I need a couple more fibers coming off, well, then it's, you know, another wrap. If it's too much, well, it's easy to control that too. So it's very simple. Just get that first wrap going, and you'll see these fibers kind of just start splaying themselves out. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So then when you want to tie that off, create a neat little space right there in the fibers, get that V shape and come right in there. And you see our fiber length is toward the end of the body there. Nothing outrageous. I don't need it, you know, 2 body lengths or anything. Want those tail Shaggy Dub fibers to do their thing and really wiggle and move back there. So don't need super long hackle fibers here. And there we go. That is super buggy to me. And I can assure you the fish agree. All right, that little bit of white stem there from the hackle shouldn't bother us too much. All right, whip finish time. And that is all you need for a hot spot right there. You can see how much that just pops off that fly. And if you want a fun variation on that, even just tie this in pretty much black and use that red. And oh boy, you've got a fun fly that catches a ton of fish. And again, keep in mind, this is, you know, if you're fishing a tailwater system where you have a lot of people fishing in front of you all day long, there are drifts going through, floats going through, you want the same bugs that produce, but maybe you need just a slight different touch on there. And there it is. You've got a whole fly that's still in the spirit of the Prince Nymph, but good luck finding another version of that on the water. And the fish know, and they will eat this like you won't believe. So please tie this, go fish it, and again, remember Mike when you tie this one. Mike, thanks so much for inspiring us all with an amazing Prince Nymph, and I hope you guys are inspired enough to go out and try tying your own variation of a Prince Nymph. And if not, tie this one or go watch Mike's video and tie his. Whatever you do, get on the vise, have some fun, and hit like, hit subscribe. We will see you all on the water.